Hey guys, Hunter for Inspired TCG here, coming at you with a bit of a different deck profile. Trey asked me to send in this deck profile. I am nowhere near home right now. I came out to Phoenix, Arizona for a training conference, and while I was out here, I decided to go to one of their locals, Phoenix Gaming Lounge, and I went for it. I went undefeated at their locals. They had 24 people. It was about $5 entry, but their pricing is really, really good. I really want to shout them out. They have a really, really nice set of people over there. Both the people that work at the shop, all of their players are really, really awesome, really cool to talk to, really easy to talk to. So if you're ever out in Phoenix, Phoenix Gaming Lounge is a huge, huge, really nice locals that's out here. I went undefeated at their tournament. Before I kind of talk about this, I wanted to mention that I was playing Traptrix. I don't really play a whole lot, especially not at locals. I mostly only go to regionals and like bigger events. So I haven't really played a whole lot in the past few months. Mostly just, like I said, regionals, YCS, case tournament here or there. But I went with Traptrix here. And so to shout out for that, I got to shout out Aaron at Top Tier Gaming. I really, really like a lot of the decks that he plays. Good friend of mine. And so Traptrix was here. I really wanted to play Marincess instead, but the dives and the blue tanks didn't come in time. I also wanted to play Striker, but I wasn't really comfortable with the deck, so I decided to play something that I was comfortable with, and that was Traptrix. So let me show you what it looks like here, guys, in a minute. So let's get into the deck profile, guys. Most of this is pretty standard, but a lot of what the non-engine cards are is really kind of what makes this different. So we're going to start off with Triple Vermilio, probably one of the best cards of the deck. Really good one-card starter. Triple Putica to search the field spell and get your extra normal summon. Only going to play double Diane. Definitely don't want to play 3. Draw it way too much if you play 3. You only really want the 2 so that you have 1 to search to normal summon, so that you have 1 to special to set your trap holes back. I do play Triple Mantis and Double Arachnocampa in the main deck. A lot of the times I've been cutting these down. Sometimes I have cut down one of each of these. Aaron has also made the point that, you kind of wanted to do that in the past, but right now I really feel like you want a one-card starter, and Vermilion and Mantis are really, really good one-card starters. So I'm playing the main deck, 3 of them with 2 of these, but honestly, a lot of the times whenever I side, I very often side on an Arachnocampa, maybe even side on an extra Mantis if I really need to. So just the 3, 6, 9, and then the 2 and 2 for the Traptrix monsters. Of course, we're going to play the Garden. People could argue that you could play 2 Garden, but I really don't think it's super, super necessary. It just kind of depends on if you have a lot of Runic players or you're expecting a lot of things like that. To get rid of 1, it's really good to have this second, I guess. But I didn't really need it today. I haven't found a lot of times where I've needed the second. It has come up, though. For the whole cards, I play Triple Holatea and only play the Floodgate, the Nightmare, and the Gravediggers. Really don't feel like you need anything more than this, especially right now, early in a format. You really don't want to play a whole lot because you don't know what's going to be super good. There is Bottomless, there is Time Space, there is the new Terrifying. I'm not super into really any of them right now. We can see later on, but the Trap Hole cards themselves are not amazing. They're good, but they're not amazing. So only play really 3 of them that we can hit off of Rafflesia, and then the 3 Holateas as extenders. This has worked perfectly fine for me. There have been times where I've maybe wanted 1 more, but if you manage your resources correctly, you should be fine. And these are honestly probably some of the best ones. Stops Nib, hits almost everything, and then Cash, and it still does hurt a lot of other things. Most Cyber's decks, only if you stop their 1 summon, you can't do much. So that's all the Traptrix Trap Hole cards that we're really playing here. Then the honorary Traptrix Monster Parallel Exceed helps you make your Rafflesia. Really, really good card. Honestly, a lot of the times I side one of these out too, because I only really feel like I can side out 7, and one of the parallels is a lot of the times the way it goes. So that's all the engine cards, really. We can see about what we have in the non-engine, of course. I feel like you have to play Triple Pot of Prosperity. It's a card that's expensive, yes, but it's a card that is very, very good in this. You want to get to your normal summons You also don't want to have too many of them. You want to be able to get a trap card. You don't want to have to draw too many of them. This helps you really filter through a lot of that, especially once you get to siding. For hand traps, I play triple Ash and triple Imperm, and I feel like you have to play these. You know, this deck has a really bad branded matchup, so I want to play it for branded. And we need trap cards to be able to activate Holotea, so really feel like Imperm is kind of a requirement in the deck. I also play double Ogre. This is one that was a little bit odd. This is in some of the flex spots. There's maybe like 6 or 8 flex spots that you can do in the deck, and I thought I wanted another hand trap, and I wanted a hand trap that did something. I didn't like. I could have found room for Droll. I could have found room for a couple different hand traps. This could be Veiler. This could be Mourner. This could be Bell. It could be a lot of different things. I just chose Ogre right now. It's maybe not the most impactful hand trap of the format, but I think it's good because it allows this deck specifically to get rid of monsters on the field. And this is one of the harder things about this deck is if there's too many things that your opponent has, you have to get around the monsters that are on their field. This is just another nice and helpful thing that goes along with it. If you can draw 2 interruptions, then you're probably going to be fine, and Ogre is just another decent interruption. A card that some people have been cutting, even from this deck, I cannot imagine why, evenly matched. The card is really, really good. It has been argued in certain formats it's not been amazing, but especially in this deck, the card is really, really good. You need a card for going second and a card to equalize the board, and this is really big, really easy, really good way to do it. And again, in the deck, you want traps for Holotea, and Evenly is just another good card that does that. So those are some of the good going second cards. These are going good second, you know, hand traps to go along with it. But I also use 2 Fenrir, 2 Book of Moon. This gets me to a main deck total of 41. Weirdly enough, I do think Book of Moon is one of the best Traptrix cards because it is a reactive card. If you need it, you can set it. If you're going first, if you're going second, you can just straight up activate it. It baits negates. You know, they only have 1 Arise Heart now, and so you can set it down. But of all the different things that this deck can do, this is a card that's good going second or going first. And I wanted some cards in the deck that were good going both. And that's also why I put in Fenrir. Fenrir has been insane. It's a really, really good card in this deck. And it's going to be a mainstay. I might even bump it up to 3. But this card is really, really good if you go first because you can summon it, put it in defense. You can grab another one if you want to if they clear your board, but it's there just as another banish. It's another thing that they have to get around, and you can just summon it out first and it doesn't affect you. And if you're going second, both of these cards are again really good. They bait out negates. They get rid of problem cards. I think this is a very, very good card in this deck, and I think everybody should consider playing in this deck, and that's the main deck. I think, like I said, it was 41. Everything feels really relevant. Like I said, there are a couple flex spots like the Ogres. You know, I could take out the 2 Ogres for a 3rd Book of Moon, 3rd Fenrir, but it doesn't really come up. The only time I would really want another Fenrir is if they stopped my first one or if I wanted to steal their Fenrirs out of their grave or whatever. But there's a lot of different things that you could do with this. I just think these are really good for me, and they've worked pretty well. But, you know, if anything else, these are 6 flex spots that you could turn into something else, 5 or 6. And that's the main deck. For the extra deck, I go with extra deck first. For the extra deck, it's, again, a little bit odd. Some of them are regular standard mainstays. We play Triple Sarah, Adipus. We don't play the Link to Calaria. It's just never been amazing. If there were formats where I needed much more of a grind game, Calaria would come up because that would let you continue to reset your trap holes. That's pretty good. It lets you summon back your monsters and just continue to loop that through. That's great. It's not really needed right now. These are the Traptrix links I needed. Adipus is really, really good. And you can summon it back with Holotea, so you can use it to link off for something else. You can make an access code and then summon this back if you haven't used Holotea. Great, great card this is. I'm only playing 1 of each of the Traptrix XYZs. I don't really feel like you ever need more than 1. I feel like when you're playing Rafflesia, if you use your first one and they break your board, you need to try to break their board back. And so Rafflesia is very honestly not used that much. And again, I only play 3 trap hole cards that you can hit with this. So it's not really needed to play more than one. And these are good in a grind game or trying to kill your opponent. But again, very little times have I ever felt like I really needed more than these. And there are flex spots in the extra decks. You can play whatever you want to. Like you could double up on these, no issue. I just like to have more options. Redoer is the honorary Traptrix card. Traptrix exceeds, very good card there. As for some of the flex spots here, I still play Exciton and Zeus. I think they go hand in hand. I've seen a lot of people not play Exciton in this deck, and I think it's just a great way to equalize if you don't have evenly, or even if you do and they negate it. This is something else that you can use, especially in the mirror too. If as long as you can get this out and activate it, then you're pretty much going to be able to put a Zeus on top of it. And of course, you can put Zeus on a couple of the other Xyzs, but this is always the best kind of one that I think to do. And that's actually all the Xyzs I play. I only play the 6. Like I said, there are flex spots in this. You could play more Xyzs if you wanted to. There's Baguska, there's Dweller. There's a lot of different things that you could use. I even like 101. But instead of playing a lot of those, I have utility links. So I play Alsa because they're all Earth. You can get some really cool stuff with this. If it's in the mirror, you can steal their stuff. You can steal Fenrir's. That's nice. And instead of some of the flex spots that people normally run, I'm going ahead and running an entire Nightmare package plus Access Code Talker. The reason I'm doing this is these two work, like they're pretty good, but you can summon Sarah, summon these underneath. You get a draw back from whatever you pitch, so you're not losing whatever you pitch. And again, this deck kind of has problems breaking boards. You can pick it apart here, and this is just the better ways to pick it apart. Monster Destruction, this hits basically anything. You can get up to Access Code. And again, you can go Adipus into Access Code and then summon the Adipus back, and that's pretty good. So I think these are all nice. These are the flex spots, truly. These 3 could be any cards that you wanted them to be. I thought these were just pretty decent. This came up actually quite a few times today, and has come up in the past. I think Cerberus is pretty good. Phoenix, there's all different sorts of backer decks, so I think that's there. You don't have to play Unicorn, but it's just another, it outs problem cards, and you can build up the Access Code Talker if you really wanted to. Like I said, there's a lot of different things you can put in these places, but these are what worked for me, and what, in theory, I thought would be pretty good. And so that's my extra deck. Got all the field centers for the side deck. I think in this day and age, you can't really build a side deck without kaijus, especially this deck. So I play triple Gamma Seal. It's really nice to be able to just drop this over your opponent's negates and actually be able to play the game. And then you can also drop this and evenly, and you've pretty much blown them out. Really, the idea behind the main and the sideboard options was at least game 2 and 3, but in general, I want to have 2 interruptions, whether that's a hand trap or a going second card, plus engine, and then I can generally play the game. So any combination of these and a couple of the other cards that I'm going to be playing, like the Fenrir's, the books, all of that, as long as I have any 2, I pretty much can play the game. I'm siding triple Droll. I'm not main decking it right now. I don't think it's insane, and especially in this deck, if you Droll them and you don't have a good follow-up, then it was kind of a wasted Droll. That's why I'm not playing in the main, but I am playing it in the side for the decks that it is really good against. I play Pankratops. It's another version of Fenrir, and it just hits a lot, especially right now when you only have 1 Rise Heart. I can just drop this and it gets rid of a Rise Heart. Feather Duster is just an amazing card. I only play 1 Cosmic because this was just the 15th card. I really like these, and this kind of works as back row remove if you need to, so it's just the 15th card. I kind of would like to have more back row removal than just these 2 or 3, but there's not always space. The other parts, I'm playing Triple Grave. This seems like a little bit odd now, especially since I don't have a bad cash matchup. I have a really good cash matchup. This is not really for cash. It's mostly there for branded, for Sword Soul, and it can be there for cash when I play against them. But, this deck has a really bad branded matchup. This helps that if I'm going first, as well as the last card that's in the side deck. triple D barrier. I figured if I was going to play against Branded and I opened one of these 6 cards going first, I pretty much got to win the game because I would make my own board, shut them out for a turn, and move on. Today, I played against a cash opponent, and while this didn't do anything itself, it was threatening there, and they had to get rid of it before they got rid of my board, and my board was just able to take care of what they had. So I think these are really good cards in Traptrix. A lot of people have, said D-Beer is not really good in the general format, and that might be correct. But in Traptrix, it works very, very well. It hits some of our problem cards, and Arxes don't get hurt from this. If you have Rafflesia sitting there and you activate this, you can still activate Rafflesia because it's not unaffected by traps. So I think it's pretty good. Didn't have to play 3, but I think 3 is just optimal. You can side in these 6 against Brandon going first, and you should win that game. The way that I looked at the deck in general was I can only side in about 7 cards. It's really hard to side in more than that. So it's pretty obvious the way that I'm going to side. These are for going first. Sometimes I'm not playing D-Beer, but I'm going first with Grave. Just good back row cards there. Droll is there if I'm going to go first or second. It just kind of depends on the deck that I'm playing against, and it's a blowout card versus those decks, so it's just nice to have here. Harpies can be there for any back row decks. If you're playing a back row deck, then it's going to be a bit more grindy, so you could side it in going first or second. And I chose Cosmic specifically as the second back row removal card because it hits Runic a little bit harder. Pankratops, like I said, I think in general, I really like Pankratops as an extra card. Some people have mained it. I like Fenrir main because you can summon it without them having a card. So, whenever I go second, that's what this is good for. And then obviously these are good for going second. So if I'm going second, I can side in these 4 at the very least against most decks, and I'll probably be fine. These depending on if they're back row, and then these if they hit the decks really well. But if I go first, then I can side in any of these and I should be okay. There are decks, of course, where these don't do a whole lot, but when Traptrix is first, they're pretty happy. So that's the deck, guys. I appreciate you watching it. If I want to talk a little bit about my matchups, I started against playing Runic Sprite. It was really difficult. Honestly, probably the more difficult match of the day was round 1. He had a whole lot of stuff. I wasn't even able to win game 1. Game 2 and 3, I brought it back. Evenly is a really good card. In fact, Evenly was crazy all day. So Runic Sprite, second I played it against the mirror match, and I opened Evenly both games. He won the die roll, so that was a pretty easy matchup there. Then I played against a Kashtira player, and again, he won the die roll. I think I lost the die roll all day. But the Kashtira player did not just end a Rise Heart Pass, which is what a lot of people think that Kashtira is going to do now. He had, I think game 1, he opened the die roll, he won first. He went F0 plus a Rise Heart and maybe a back row or 2, and evenly just blew that out of the water. Game 2, I think game 2, he won pretty convincingly. Because because I had Evenly, it wasn't enough. And then game 3, I went first, sided in and opened Grave, and it was just too threatening that he couldn't do much. Being able to summon Fenrir was crazy. I could summon Fenrir to my field, and it was just an extra piece of interruption. So yes, you had to worry about like Rafflesia, but then you also had to worry about a Fenrir that was on the board that you had to be scared of. So Fenrir actually was really good all day. Stole his Fenrir 2 there. And then round 3, I think I played Naturia Runic, which he didn't open well enough any game. Every time he opened, I had a hand trap or 2 for him. I could stop him there and then pretty much just win the game from there because he doesn't have a whole lot, and Traptrix, so I can't do much going into turn 3 when I have either Fenrir or Rafflesia and all these different cards. Really nice. So that's the deck, guys. I appreciate you watching it here on Inspire TCG. This is Hunter, and I'm out.